Hello everyone and welcome to today's workshop. My name is Tim. I'm going to be leading it. We'll just allow people to continue trickling in. While they're doing that, we'll go through some basic housekeeping. So you will see a chat window at the side of the screen, or some of you will see a chat window. I think it's the first 100 or so will see a chat window at the side of the screen. While I'm going through the presentation today, I'm going to be in full screen mode, so I'm not going to see that chat window. So you can write all of the insults and stuff that you want, and I'm not going to see them. If we have time at the end, we'll do some Q&A. So if you've got any questions about anything that comes up as we go along, then you can stick them in there, and when we do Q&A, we can go through some of them. Otherwise, we'll answer them, later on. And we can contact you guys with answers, or people in the chat might have some answers as well. So feel free to answer any questions that you got in the chat window if you see it. I'm going to aim to keep today's session to about an hour. That's my goal. There's a load of stuff to go through, so we're going to crank through fairly rapidly. I hope you enjoy it. Right, today's session is all about how to increase the Google ranking of any website. Okay, so the goal of the session is to show you strategies to increase the ranking of your website and increase the leads and the sales that you get from that organic traffic. Now, we're going to be looking at different examples in completely different markets today. So we're going to look at some e-commerce businesses, service businesses. We're going to look at large businesses, small businesses. So it doesn't really matter what your business, what your size is. The same principles apply. And we'll notice that as we're going through these case studies, we're using exactly the same strategies, but just slightly different flavors for each one. So if you've got a website already, perfect. You're going to see some stuff to improve the ranking. If you don't have a website yet, that's absolutely fine as well, because I'm going to show you some things that you'll want to bear in mind when you're building the site. Cool, so who am I? Why am I worth listening to? My name is Tim, I'm Head Ninja at Exposure Ninja. I'm also the UK's best-selling digital marketing author. Those are some of my books. I've actually got a copy of How to Get to the Top of Google here. I always keep a copy on hand. And that's kind of what I've been known for, really. I wrote the Google book about, I don't know when it was, about 2011 or maybe 2011. And that kind of took off, and I built Exposure Ninja on the back of that. I've been at the forefront of online marketing since 2008, both running my own companies and doing stuff for clients and various other businesses. And Exposure Ninja's services, books, training and consultancy has helped over 10,500 businesses. We were established in 2012, and since that time we've grown from 3 to 60 staff, so it's been quite a ride. It's been very good fun. SEO is primarily what we're known for. We help with all sorts of digital marketing, from pay-per-click, website builds, social media, Facebook ads, all of that sort of stuff. By the way, nothing today is a pitch for Exposure Ninja's services at all. We are always subscribed to the absolute max. Our main problem is finding good people and training them quickly enough so that we can handle the capacity. So this is not a pitch for Exposure Ninja's services at all. If you're interested in our help, that's cool. You can drop me an email, tim@exposureninja.com, but this is an informational workshop today. Cool, so I'm going to take you through exactly what we're going to be going through. We'll do a quick SEO recap for those of you who are new to SEO, search engine optimization, or those of you who are familiar but maybe want a recap on what it means today. We'll do that quickly. And then we'll go through the case studies. So the case studies will form the bulk of what we're talking about today. There are going to be 5 case studies. The first one is how we increased e-commerce revenue by 14,484% in 9 months. So that's an existing business with a fairly new e-commerce property. The second one is how to go from zero to dominant with a new website in 6 months, completely fresh market. The third one is also a new business, how to get in the Daily Mirror and live on BBC and use it to push rankings. The fourth one is a very large, well-established business who wasn't doing as well as they should have online. They had a very good marketing and advertising background, but they hadn't really been doing too much online. And the fifth one is an e-commerce site that has actually a UK and US property. We're going to be looking at the UK one today and what we did to more than double their revenue in 1 year using the same SEO strategies that we're going to be walking through all day today. Cool, and then we're going to go through a summary, so I'll recap exactly what we've learned and then finally give you some steps to start implementing this. It's my goal that this is not just a, oh, that's interesting kind of workshop where just show you a bunch of stuff and you kind of get curious and then leave and just continue with your daily life. I want to show you how you can start doing this stuff for your business, because that's where the real value in this is. Before we get going, I want to invite you to request a free digital marketing review from us, exposureninja.com/review. If you open that in another tab and you go and do that now, that's absolutely fine. I won't, I won't know. So. Yeah, I'd encourage you to do this. This is a free review that we carry out personally. This isn't like some automatically generated software thing. We spend about half an hour on each one, so it's genuinely really good. And the training process for doing these is really intense. So we get about 150 applicants for every person that we take on to do these reviews. And then I personally train them for about a week before they're allowed anywhere near the reviews. So it's a very, very intense process, and we're really proud of the reviews. We get a lot of 5-star reviews on our Facebook page for these reviews. So do that. You can do that at any point. I think there should be a little box at the side where you can go and stick your details in there. Cool. Right. So SEO is what we're going to be talking about today. Search engine optimization. This is the Exposure Ninja Digital Marketing Circle. Any prizes for guessing how we came up with the name? So SEO is obviously just one element of an overall digital marketing campaign. But it's a very important one, and as we'll see today, the quality of traffic that you can get from Google is, in my opinion, it exceeds the quality of traffic from most other sources, in fact, any other source. So we'll see some examples and some stats to back that up. Now, you'll notice in this marketing circle that the website is in the middle. And it's in the middle for a reason, right? It doesn't matter how good anything else is if your website sucks. So we've seen it time and time again with people coming to us saying, you know what, I'm ranking well, but it just doesn't seem to be working out. And we look at their website and it's like, well, it's clearly not going to be working out because your website's absolutely horrible. So it's important that the website is right as well. And we'll be looking at some ways that you can check that today. So let's go through a quick recap of the basic SEO principles then. What is SEO? First of all, what is the definition? Well, search engine optimization, as we define it, is arranging the online information about your business in a way that makes Google want to rank your website highly. Okay, so this isn't about manipulating, this isn't about, blasting loads of links on Fiverr or anything like that. Every business has information inside it, information about your products, your solution, the problems that your customers have. You have information about what your customers are experiencing in their daily life. So all of this information is inside you. And as business owners, we tend to underestimate the importance of that information. So what we're doing with SEO, as you'll see today, is we're just taking that information out of your head, putting it on your website and on the internet in a way that shows Google that you're a real authority in your market and that actually the website deserves to rank prominently. That's basically what we're doing. We're trying to make it so that your business is the ultimate source of information in your market, so that any search results without your website prominently featured are incomplete. That's where we're trying to get to here. Now, one of the things that we heard a few years ago, it's kind of died out over the last couple of years, but people saying that SEO is dead, right? SEO doesn't work, or it's impossible to, manipulate your ranking on Google and stuff like this. It's absolute hogwash, because all we're doing is we're arranging the information about your business in a way that makes Google want to rank your website highly. As long as there are search engines, there will be search engine optimization, right? Google has to decide where to rank each website. There has to be criteria there. So SEO is just matching those criteria and making sure your business is doing what it can to rank prominently. That's all. So as long as there are search engines, there will be search engine optimization. Right, now, SEO comes in two different kind of categories, I guess, or flavors. We have on-site optimization and off-site promotion. So on-site optimization is all about your website. And we'll see throughout today, the website is always the first thing that you look at. So always make sure that the website is right. Make sure it has the content that it needs. Off-site promotion is about how you promote your website across the rest of the internet. So on-site optimization, making sure your website is Google friendly. That's the kind of the basic term for it. So what does that actually mean? Well, having enough text is really important. Text is how Google reads the internet. So If you don't have good text on your site, very difficult for Google to understand what your site is about. A lot of home pages, for example, will lack enough text to be particularly useful for Google at all. So Google looks at that home page, can't really tell what it's about. There's no text on there, there's no keywords, so it's just like, well, what do we rank this for? So making sure that every page on your site has enough text. With e-commerce businesses, this will be text on your product category pages, text on your product pages. For service businesses, it'll be about having enough pages, just text basically, and this text needs to be descriptive and optimized. So what do we mean by that? We mean making sure that this text includes the phrases that you want to rank for. If you're a service business, then having different pages targeting each of your separate services is a good idea. So I like to use the example of a plumber. If you've got a plumbing website, then it's a good idea to have a plumbing page, a boiler repair page, a gas engineer page, a drain clearance page, separate pages for each of these services. So why do we do that? Well, we do that because it allows us to optimize the text and the keywords used on each of those pages for a very specific kind of sub niche of services. If I'm looking for boiler repair, I'm searching on Google for boiler repair. So if Google can show me a page which is all about boiler repair, called boiler repair, with lots of mentions of boiler repair, the different boilers that are mentioned, it's got a much better chance of ranking than if there's just one page which lists one sentence about boiler repair. How does Google know that that long page is relevant for that phrase? Well, it's quite difficult. Whereas if we've got one page which is all about this topic, much easier to get it ranking. So separate pages targeting each of your services or products or keywords is a really good idea. It's also important to make sure that the design of your site is appealing. This is not just for cosmetics. We know that Google monitors user behavior on websites, and if your design is appealing, your website tends to rank better because people have a better time of using it. We also saw with recent mobile updates. If your site doesn't work properly on mobile, very difficult to get it ranking on mobile because people land on it, they immediately leave. Google sees that behavior as a quality indicator that this website really isn't good enough. And then that's not the sort of site that Google can say, okay, this site really justifies prominent ranking here. Basically, it's all about having a good website, right? All on-site optimization is about making sure that your website answers the questions that your customers have and gives them a good experience. So that's on-site optimization. We always do that first. That's the most important piece. And just doing that stuff will typically get some movement in ranking. Then it comes to the off-site promotion. So what is all off-site promotion about? Basically getting high authority websites to link to you. Okay, so links are how Google understands authority. And if somebody searches for The Times, for example, on Google, how does Google know to show the website for the newspaper The Times? Well, there are lots of websites that are relevant for the phrase The Times. It could be people searching for The Time. It could be people searching for train times. So how does Google know that The Times is the most relevant page? Well, because lots of people link in to The Times website, it has more links than, say, the Nottingham Times or the West Bridgeford Times or whatever. So when someone searches for that, Google looks at all of these different websites which are relevant for this phrase and says, okay, which is the highest authority for that phrase? Well, the highest authority site is typically the one that has the most links coming in, and links from good quality websites. So what we're trying to do with offsite promotion is we're getting good quality websites to link into your website, because that shows Google that you're a good quality site as well. It's like, if all the popular kids are talking about you, then you're probably a popular kid too. So that's the sort of thing that we're trying to replicate online here. And getting links needs to be a process. This is not something where you get a few links one day and then you rank well forever. This is something that needs to be consistently done, because if the popular kids stop talking about you, it indicates that you're no longer popular. This is also about things like making sure your social media profiles are good, making sure they're branded properly, making sure they got links, making sure they got engagement and all of that sort of thing. Basically doing good marketing, right? Being seen where Google would expect you to be seen if you are a popular, good quality business. So that's what we're doing today. On-site optimization, off-site promotion. That's it. Everything that we do falls into those two categories. So let's get into some case studies then. The first case study we're going to look at is an e-commerce business. Now, these guys were an established and very profitable Amazon seller. They sell little LED candles and they sold over 1 million of these bad boys, but they wanted to grow their own website, because they noticed that they're very dependent on Amazon. And if Amazon changed its ranking algorithm or something like that, then their business was in real threat, because they're relying on all of their traffic, all of their sales from Amazon, like a lot of people do. So they wanted to grow their own website as a channel. They also obviously make more money from their own site because they're not having to pay Amazon that fee. They sell low-priced decorative LED lighting, and they had absolutely no original content on their website at all. Right? Terrible, terrible situation to be. Nothing original whatsoever. So we really needed to get that sorted. The reason why original content is important is because if they're just taking the content from the Alibaba listing or their distributor listing or whatever and putting it on their website, Google sees that content about each of those products on loads and loads of other websites. So when it comes to that decision of which website should rank best for this phrase, how does Google know that this website is good compared to this other one which has exactly the same text? Right? Unless that content is original, unless it's better, or unless it's longer, more detailed or whatever, it's a really difficult decision to say to Google, okay, what we want you to do is we want you to outrank the original site where this content was found on, so like Alibaba. We want you to say, do you know what, that's not as important as this other site, which has just copied all the content. We want you to rank that one better instead. It's really not going to happen. So the goal here was to establish organic traffic, SEO, as a primary source of business for them. So the first thing that we did, remember the first thing is always the website. So step one was the website. We improved the layout of the site. It was a little bit tricky for people to use. The menu system wasn't that clear, so we tidied up the menu navigation. We added what are called category buckets on the homepage. You can probably see at the bottom of that screenshot there, it says solar fountains, battery candles, mood lights. When people were landing on the site, they didn't really know where they were supposed to be going. So what we did is added those little category buckets so that if someone's searching for a battery candle, for example, they land on the site, they can immediately see this battery candle, click, and then they're straight through to the battery candles page. So it much shorten that kind of process of getting people to the information that they want, which is all navigation is supposed to be about. We also made sure that there was text content on the homepage, quite common to a lot of e-commerce sites as they didn't have much text on the homepage at all. So we added some there. You can see it had the headline LED lights and a bit of text content about each of their different products. We also added text on their category pages. So for example, when you click on the LED lights page, or LED candles page, what do you see? Well, a lot of e-commerce sites, you just see the list of products. You don't actually see any text on that page. Remember, text is how Google understands the internet. So we added some text on those category pages too to make sure that they were seen as good quality. We optimized the titles and meta descriptions behind the scenes. We also optimized the images too. So all of the website stuff was always step one. Always do that first. Then the next stage was the promotion. So this is about the links. So what we did first is we did some video marketing. We got some videos put together, really simple picture and text videos, just showing the products, explaining about what they're about. And then we syndicated those across some video sites. So there are loads and loads of different video sites out there, things like YouTube, obviously everybody knows, Vimeo, everyone knows, but there are loads of others as well. And the good news about all these video sites is they'll allow you to upload your video to all of them. Now, if your video has an optimized title and description, so if you're making a video about LED candles, for example, and you call it cool projects to use LED candles for, and you get that on all the different video sites, well, guess what? A, if somebody searches LED candles on YouTube, which they might well do because it's the world's second largest search engine, they might see your video. And B, Google looks at that video, says, okay, what's the topic in this video? Okay, well, it's obviously LED candles. And here's some text talking about LED candles and different projects that you can do. And here's a link through to the LED candles page on this website. Well, that must mean that this page is relevant for LED candles because this video is all about that. So do that across all these different video sites and you start getting multiple links for each video and multiple links coming into each product category page. What did we do next? More links. So good quality directories. Lots and lots of different types of directory out there. Business directories, local directories, market specific directories. So if you're a dentist, there'll be dentist directories. There'll be local business directories. You know, loads and loads of different directories out there. Here are some of the most common that we use. Now, the good news about these directories is that you can get a listing in them very quickly. It's just a case of dropping in some details, sticking a link to your website, and that's good. So you end up getting links from sites like The Sun, The Mirror, The Independent. All of those directories are powered by Scoop. So you list and Scoot, you get on all of those ones. That's decent links coming in. So well worth doing. Now, these links aren't life-changing. It's not like getting a link from the homepage of The Sun straight to you, but hey, they're better than nothing. And this is all about stacking up that authority so that when Google looks at your site and says, how important is this site? Well, it's got a lot of links coming in from lots of different places. So it must be quite important. The next thing that we did is something that we call DPR. So this is a kind of like an evolution of digital PR, really. So what we did for these guys was blogger outreach. So we identified the bloggers who were most likely to be talking about LED candles, or who had a target audience. The blog audience was similar to the audience for the business, right? So we want to get a really tight audience fit if possible, so that when this blogger posts something, all of the audience, they're already good potential customers for the business. So what we did is we reached out to these bloggers and we gave them some products to review on their blogs. So they go and write their blogs and list the products and show, these are all the fun projects that you can do with these candles. And guess what? If we're targeting craft bloggers, they run the products, they run the review, and they link back to the website from their review. So that's great. We also ran contests with authorities with these craft blogs. So here's an example on Facebook. So we work with the Diary of a Jewelry Lover, which is a blog. And her Facebook page here, so we sent her some little pack of battery candles there, little 12 pack. So retail price of that is like £10 or something. So I don't know what they're actually buying them for, but like nothing, right? Really cheap promo to do. So we sent them out and said, hey, you can run a giveaway for these on your Facebook page. So what she did is she ran this post and said simply like this post and comment to enter, and then link to the Facebook page, link to the website that we're trying to build the links to. The great thing about this, and the reason it drove so much traffic and sales, is check this out. This post got 312 likes, 387 comments, and 250 shares. That's ridiculous. This is for like a set of £10 candles, right? You could send out 10 of these and imagine the sort of engagement that you're getting. So the most important thing I think there is the 250 shares, because that's 250 people taking that post and sharing it with all of their friends, right? Ridiculous organic engagement there. Sorry, organic spread there. So really good, and tapping into these bloggers can be fantastic. So the results, what happened as a result of all of this stuff? Well, ranking dramatically improved. Here's a ranking chart. So that green line is the website's visibility on Google over time. So what we do, we track all of the different keywords and we say how many positions has each keyword improved each month. So that's what this light shows, this line shows. So you can see there, that little number in the top, that Google changed 902. That means that their keywords have improved a total of 902 positions during this time, which looks to me is about 6 or 7 months. So you can see that line, a little plateau. As we optimized the website, so that saw a bump. Then there's a little plateau, and then the reviews and the giveaways start, and then we see another kind of jump there. And some of the phrases that these guys are ranking well for. So you'll notice that these particular phrases I'm showing you now, the reason I'm showing you them is they're not even page 1, right? These guys aren't top of Google yet. They're still bottom of page 1, top of page 2, middle of page 2, and then even onto page 3, some of these phrases. But that doesn't matter, because as soon as you start getting on the first few pages, you start getting more traffic and more conversions anyway. Excuse me. You start getting more traffic and conversions anyway, so we'll see what happened to their traffic as a result. Here's their traffic graph. So that's their organic traffic from Google. So this is traffic from Google, people searching for different phrases and coming to their website. So that's the movement of that ranking the movement of that traffic as their ranking increased. Also, sales from this organic traffic increase. So here we can see the sales line. That dark blue line is the sales one, and the light blue line is the average order value. So you can see the average order value there over on the right hand side of the chart, around about £50 at the time of closing. Now what you'll notice is that the average order value also increased as the ranking and visibility on Google increased. And this is something that's fairly typical to see. The reason for this is that traffic from Google it tends to be better performing. There's a certain authority that comes from ranking well on Google. A lot of people still think that Google decides where to rank each website. You know, there's some kind of Google panel that says, oh, you know, this website needs to rank better because it's a good quality business. Some people still think like that. So as you improve your ranking, you'll tend to notice that the quality of that traffic increases as well. We notice that organic traffic bounces less, so spends longer on the site. We'll notice that it spends more. We'll notice it spends more frequently. It converts better. So all of these things really, a major part of the reason why we're so big on organic traffic is because it's such good quality traffic. Within 1 year, monthly revenue had increased over 7,791%, which is pretty mental. And their yearly revenue was well in excess of that. So yeah, really good stuff there. So that's the first business. That was an existing business, but hadn't really been doing too much digital marketing. This is also an existing business, although they'd done absolutely nothing online, okay? So completely nowhere in their market, totally invisible, had a lot of catching up to do. So they came to us with absolutely no website, no marketing, a very dry topic. So they're a warehouse racking inspection company. So what that means is they basically go into a warehouse and they have a look at all the racking and they make sure that that sort of thing doesn't happen. So it's not really the sort of thing that these bloggers are going to be talking about. There aren't that many warehouse blogs that are going to be kind of reviewing his racking inspection company, are there? So, you know, that immediately made the digital PR angle not harder, but it required a bit more creativity. Which I'll show you in, we got the guys did some incredible work. I'll show you some examples in just a minute. Anyway, the goal was to build a high-ranking website and generate traffic through SEO. So here's what we did. Always start focus on the website first. So for these guys, they didn't have a site, so we had to build them a clear, well-optimized site. You can see the screenshot there. We actually added a juicy call to action lead generation element. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, but just next to the picture, there's a little button that says on it, yes, I want my free checklist. So what they do is to get people who are interested but maybe not ready to get in contact yet, they have this free download, which is this racking safety checklist. Now they know that their target audience is going to want this checklist, so people go onto the site, they sign up for the checklist, and then they get follow-up emails which are like, oh, if you want us to come and do some training for your people, or if you want us to come and inspect, then, you know, let us know. So that's how they get their business. So website, first of all, obviously all the content and everything, really important. The next thing was the promotion. So always start with the website, then the links. So same as before, directory links, video links, and then digital PR. So rather than targeting bloggers this time, what we did is said, okay, where's the target audience here? Well, the target audience for these guys is reading trade journals and trade publications, trade magazines. So this is where we're going to have to target. So what we did is we came up with different article ideas for these trade publications, and we sent them off to the journalists and editors who write for them. If they said, yeah, that sounds interesting, we're interested in seeing that article, we would then write the article for them in the style of the publication. So here are some examples. And what we did here is, because warehouse racking is such a specific topic, the owner of the business, Justin, we said, okay, so what's he really an expert in? Well, he's not just an expert in warehouse racking. Actually, that makes him an expert in health and safety, so warehouse health and safety. So by expanding his kind of expertise and making it a little bit broader, we're able to get a lot more coverage, because we could talk about things other than just purely warehouse racking. So it's worth thinking about, what do you know, what's your area of expertise, and how could you go one step bigger than that and turn that into something that a lot more publications and online, you know, outlets would be interested in running pieces on. So here's an example in the Manufacturer magazine online about, are you making these warehouse health and safety mistakes? So he's it's an article written in the voice of Justin there with a link back to his website. That's the reason that we're doing this. Here's another one, how to motivate your employees to be safe. So a slightly different angle here. We're talking about employee motivation, but then it goes back to the topic of health and safety, and then it goes back to the topic of warehouse racking. So ways of working it into, this is on skills you need website. So it's all about kind of skills and training and HR stuff, but working a way in there. Here's an article on occupational health and safety, a guide to racking safety awareness of businesses. So this is a very specific article about the core area of expertise, which is great. Here's one on HSS, which is all about what the EU referendum will mean for the future safety of the British workplace. So here we've taken a current topic, right, a trending topic, something that people are talking about already, and said, what can our angle be on this? How can we work a way into this, which is going to get us some publicity? So EU referendum was great. We got a lot of mileage out of that. Health and safety news, here's the same sort of deal. And then here's an interview. So another approach that you can take is to position yourself as an expert and get interviewed, right? So warehouse and logistics news, fascinating publication. I know that I'm certainly a subscriber. I'm sure you are as well. And none of us will forget this article with our man Justin there, talking about the business that he's built. So that's how you can use this kind of stuff if you're a business which maybe isn't quite as sexy as something that bloggers would want to talk about. Then what? So we did a bunch of that stuff. We talked about health and safety. Then what? Then we got super creative. Here's an example of an infographic which we run called 4 Most Dangerous Fictional Workplaces. Okay, so remember, Justin's a health and safety expert. What are people always talking about? Well, they're always talking about the new Star Wars film. They're always talking about The Simpsons. They're always talking about Game of Thrones. They're always talking about Doctor Who. So we said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make an infographic which covers all of these things. We're going to talk about it from the perspective of a health and safety expert. So it's a little bit geeky, a little bit fun. And it's got fantastic response. You can see that all of the results of this thing being shared all over the place. So Pinterest got a lot of response on Twitter, got response on Doctor Who websites, on Facebook, on the infographic portal, on various infographic websites. So really interesting way of kind of working that stuff in. So what happened as a result? The rankings were ridiculous. Remember, the brand new website, completely new market. Page 1 for 21 keywords. Top 3 on page 1 for 8 keywords. All of this in 4 months. Here's the ranking chart once this site launched. This is a business. This is really interesting because this is a business, because it's less sexy, that none of his competitors, no one's even thinking about digital PR. They haven't had a PR thought ever, right? All they're thinking about is warehouses and safety. So to go into a market like this with this sort of strategy, which is normally reserved for sites like Next and, big, large brands, to go into a market like this with this sort of thing, none of his competitors were even thinking on this level at all. So when we got in, it's just a lay down, right? Complete lay down. So here's some of the rankings in those first 4 months. So racking inspection forms, racking inspection checklists, racking inspections, position 1 on Google. Racking inspection, singular, position 2 on Google. Ridiculous. Now, he was the most visible company in his market, right? That's within 4 months. 1 year later, the reason I say he was, 1 year later, here are the phrases that they're ranking for in top position. So you can see there on the right hand side, the position on Google. Look at those position 1s. So super interesting case study because, as I say, this is a market where none of this stuff has been done. Now, obviously, if you're competing with, if you're trying to compete against like pharmaceutical companies and, large brands who spend hundreds of thousands a month on SEO, then this sort of stuff is more tricky. But if you're competing in a market which is, everyone's fairly sleepy, this stuff just works like an absolute killer. So here's what happened with their traffic. Massive traffic improvement. As you can imagine, the entire business, all of the promotion is handled by these things that I've shown you today. Okay, so it's all link building, content on the site, and blogs. That's it. Really awesome. Cool. So that's an example of an existing business, but a completely new online presence. This is a brand new business, completely new business. They came to us with an idea for the business. I think they might have had a name, but that was it. So our mission here, they came with an idea. They had no website, they had no marketing. The goal was to establish the business, generate traffic and exposure, and position the owner of the business as an expert in his field. So what these guys do is they train personal trainers, right? personal trainer trainers. I think I'm really geeky. I said to my wife, do you know what? His trainers, the trainers that this guy wears, are personal trainers. Anyway, on my own. So yeah, the goal was to just completely grow this thing from scratch. So first thing we did, build them a Ninja website, obviously. Get the copy done, so all the text on the site. Make sure it's well optimized, those titles, descriptions, making sure that there's enough text on every page, making sure it includes the keywords, all of that stuff that we've seen already. Then we started building links and getting articles published. So just like before, rather than just talking about personal trainers, what we said, okay, this guy's actually an expert in health. So anything about health, we can pitch him for. So we started promoting him as an authority on anything to do with health. One of the articles included this one from Sarah Cooper White, who's a freelance, I think she's a freelance journalist. She writes for the Mirror and a bunch of other sites. And she messaged saying that she needed an expert to talk about health. So we said, okay, cool, Peter's the guy. He's a real expert in health. And she was writing an article on Heart Month, National Heart Month. So here is a link to the website from the Mirror, which is obviously a high authority site. We did loads and loads of outreach in various different publications and just basically blasted him everywhere. And one thing that really interesting that happened is Victoria Derbyshire was due to do a segment on her show about these waist trainers. I don't know if you know them, like they're kind of corsets and they squeeze the girl's waist in and push out her bum to make her look like Kim Kardashian, obviously, because that's the goal here, right? So Victoria Derbyshire was doing a show on those waist trainers and were they a good idea or were they just turning your insides into mush? And they needed a health expert to talk about it. So the production team were looking around online for who's a real expert in health, and they came across a bunch of articles that we had written in the voice of Peter, the business owner, and got in touch and said to us, can we interview Peter? We'd really like to talk to him. So we said, he'll probably have to check his diary, but I'm sure he'll be keen. So they sent a taxi down and picked him up and took him over to Television Centre and had a really nice day, got the full works and appeared live on the show. So that's him second from the right there in the blue shirt and jeans. Now, obviously we all tuned into the show to support him and it actually got a little bit weird. He at one point he stood up and he started lifting up his shirt because he wanted to show them his abs. And Victoria was a little bit freaked out by this. I'm not sure that he's necessarily going to be getting an invite to go back. But hey, we get the exposure. It's up to him what he does with it. So really interesting. So what happened as a result of all of this? Because obviously that sort of attention gets a lot of links, gets some good SEO benefits as well. Rankings absolutely smashed. So here is their here's their ranking improvement over so September of 2014 was when the site launched, and you can see how that went over the first year. So total improvement in positions of 3,142 positions. Booyah! Their entire business was launched as a result of this SEO work and some pay-per-click work as well. So really significant results. This is completely brand new, totally brand new business. 6 months later, he's being on BBC and he's featured in the Mirror. So, again, just getting this stuff right, it's about more than just improving ranking. It's also about building credibility. And if you can say to people, do you know what? There are loads of personal trainers out there, but how many of them have been live on BBC? You can sustain a higher price, you get a much better conversion rate through that stuff. Okay, cool. We're going to keep cracking because there's still quite a lot to go through. Case study number 4. This is blowing up rankings in a good way for established business. So these guys were super, super smart business. They're actually very successful business doing, multiple millions. They're actually the largest print advertiser in the Express and Mail newspapers. So they sell cruises and advertise a lot in these papers using print ads. So basically they know what they're doing, right? They've built their whole business through advertising. So this isn't some, these guys aren't a startup where they just have an idea. These guys already know what they're doing. Now the goal here was to improve the website performance. They had a reasonably visible site, but it really wasn't as visible as they'd like. And very, very competitive market. Cruises, absolutely ruthlessly competitive market. People spending huge, insane, eye-watering amounts on SEO for this. So what do we do first? Well, the first thing, always remember the on-site optimization. So getting this website sorted. So here's a picture of their blog, which they were writing a lot of blogs. The sales team had to write, a blog every day or a blog every week or something like that. But they didn't really know what they were doing. They just knew that they had to write a blog. So they'd not been given any guidance whatsoever. So we said, okay, what we really need to do here is we need to make sure that each of these posts is targeted at a certain number of keywords. So what are you trying to rank for? If you're trying to rank for, Dubai cruises, well, let's write a piece about that and make sure that we include these target keywords. And here's how to format the post, and here's where to put the keywords, and here's where to do the links and stuff. So we actually made them a quick video which showed them how to do this stuff. So we gave them that guidance. We then started building links and utilizing their existing contacts, because they obviously had contacts with the papers that they work with. Obviously, a successful business, so they have links with other companies as well. So we started building links using the exact same strategies that we've looked at with the digital PR elsewhere. So what happened here? Here's their ranking improvement. So 1,267 positions improved on Google. Huge results. Remember, this is a really, really, really competitive market. We're going up against people here who are spending probably 100 times as much on their SEO as these guys were spending with us. Right, but it's just because we knew what to do, we knew the sort of links, and we knew the sort of content that needed to be done. Lots and lots of keywords position well. Again, we're going on to page 2 and even onto page 3 with some of these keywords, but it really doesn't matter because there's so much search traffic around them that they start picking up. These conversions and the traffic, well before you're getting top of page 1. Right, 5th example now, uber competitive e-commerce site, this one. This is in e-cigarettes. So, e-cigarettes, such a growth market, everyone piling in because they're all relatively new businesses, because e-cigarettes is a relatively new thing, certainly like last decade. All of these sites are relying almost entirely on online. So really aren't many other established channels for this. Other than high street stores, but that's really not who's competing online. Everyone who's competing online is pure e-commerce. So very, very, very competitive market. Now, these guys were a successful business. They had a UK operation, they had a US operation, but they were really hungry for more. They see this as a growth area. They really wanted to pound it hard. The UK site was doing okay. The US site completely dead. He actually said, he sent us over a testimony at the end. He was like, I'd totally given up on it. It was a last gasp attempt. It was a last gasp punt, really, before we shut the US site down. So what do we do first? Remember, always work on the website first. So we did the on-site optimization recommendations. We did a bit of a technical cleanup. There were some errors there. And we then started building links. Building links, getting featured in the publications. Actually, an interesting story here. The guy on our team, the PR ninja on our team, who was writing the articles for these vaping publications and the e-cigarette publications, actually became so much of an expert in this topic that he was invited to talk at top vaping conferences. Now, he doesn't know he knows a lot, but he's never smoked an e-cigarette. I don't think he's even ever touched one. But because he'd spent so much time writing about this market and talking about these things and researching it online, actually invited to go and talk at these vaping conferences. So, obviously this sort of visibility is really good for the business because it takes the business owner and their kind of their own personal brand to the next level here. What happened with their traffic and ranking? Well, there's an arrow there, which I think means that's when we started doing the SEO work on their site. So you can see the traffic increased significantly after that point. The revenue here, that revenue is a year-on-year comparison of the year that they've done SEO so far versus the previous year. So up 118%. There. So they've made an extra, 1.8 million or something in additional revenue as a result of this SEO work. Now, another interesting thing about this business, they can't do any paid advertising at all. No one will have them because they're e-cigarettes, so it's a nicotine product. So they can't advertise on Facebook, they can't advertise on Google. Everyone in their market is just focused on organic SEO traffic. So makes it ridiculously competitive, but you can see this sort of growth, just insane. Number of transactions up 95%. E-commerce conversion rate improved slightly as well. Again, because the quality of the traffic was higher, because it's all really, really good quality organic traffic, and the average order value also increased too. So what happened in the US? Well, here's when they launched the site. They're getting absolutely no visibility whatsoever. This is their Google Analytics stats. Look at that pathetic line. So they're totally given up on things, ready to call it a day and shut the site down. Here's what happened moving forward as we improved the traffic. Now hitting 5 to 7K per day in a new market as a result of this SEO work. So exactly the same things. This is getting, for these guys, it was heavy on the digital PR stuff, getting featured in blogs, getting featured on sites. We're talking about e-cigarettes. And some rankings here. You can see top position for a load of those. These are actually branded terms. So Enjoy is a brand, getting ranked top of Google for Enjoy refills over Enjoy's own website. Same with Blue Sig not working. You know, e-cigarette starter kit UK, highly commercial phrases. Someone who's searching for Enjoy cartridges, they're not just looking for, oh, I'm looking for information. They're looking to buy a product. And if you're ranking top of Google for that sort of phrase, that makes some decent money. Okay, there's a bunch more there as well. Buy e-cig online, top of Google. Boom! Yeah, lots of brands there, some really good rankings. Lots of brands there. Damn! So yeah, good stuff. Alright, we get the picture. I can't stop this thing now. I have to wait until it finishes. Alright, I think we are done. Cool. We're done. Cool. All right, so takeaways and QAs then. Q&A. If we've got time for Q&A, that would be great. So I hope you've all been sticking in your questions there. Otherwise, I will answer them at. We'll go back and answer them after the workshop. So, takeaways. I'm really keen that we get something concrete in place for you to actually start implementing this stuff, not just, oh yeah, that was interesting. Wow, those businesses are, lucky them. They've done that stuff. What about me? So really keen that actually we get something concrete so that you can start doing this stuff. First, let's go through a bit of a recap. First thing, how to improve the traffic and ranking to any website. So we know there are two things, right? There's the website and then there's the links. It has to be an attractive website. It has to look good. It has to have good user metrics. So the website has to be worthy of ranking. It also needs to convert well. It's no good us driving this traffic if it's not going to turn into sales, right? So it has to be built with conversion optimization in mind. It has to be mobile friendly. People, when they land on the site, they have to know what they need to do next in order to take the next step. Obviously, it has to be well SEO'd. So it has to be optimized for search. It has to include your target keywords, titles, descriptions, all that sort of stuff has to be in place. There has to be lots of content as well. All of the sites we've looked at today have been very content heavy, right? It doesn't mean that it needs to look like Wikipedia and it needs to be this kind of impenetrable block of text on every page, but it has to have enough content to show visitors and Google that you're an authority on this topic and that the site is worthy of ranking. So that's the first thing. Always get the website sorted first. The next thing after that is the visibility. So how do we improve the links? How do we show Google that you're being seen all over the internet? Well, the directory links we looked at, local directories, business directories, lots of different types there. Videos, getting featured on YouTube, Dailymotion, Photobucket, Metacafe, Vimeo, Vidler, Flickr, Wistia, all these different video sites with links back from the video description, but also links from the channel description as well. And then this digital PR, the kind of, I don't want to call it the magic bullet, anytime you say a magic bullet in SEO, it starts sounding really bad, but digital PR is a really good way of getting links, a really, really good way of getting links. There are loads of different angles that you can take with it. So articles and authority publications, so using that editor and journalist outreach. In fact, a little quick tip for getting featured. So you're thinking, well, how do I get an article in a high authority publication? What you want to do is go on Twitter and search using the hashtag journo request. So JOURNO request or hashtag PR request. So journo as in journalist request. What journalists will do, if they need an angle, they're writing a story about a particular topic and they need a source, they need to get some information in there from someone who's relevant to this topic, they'll go on Twitter and they'll use hashtag journo request and they'll say, hey, I'm looking for someone who sells baby products. I'm writing a piece on the best baby products of the, in January. And then you say, hey, cool, I've got some products for you. Let me know your email. They give you your email, and then you have a conversation. A ridiculous way of getting links. I've been featured in Forbes, Telegraph, Times, Guardian, Huffington Post, loads of different really good or high authority sites just from using that hashtag on Twitter. So there's a little freebie, hopefully worth the price of entry alone. You can also do some blogger outreach. So if you're interested in more of the contests and side of things, then search on Google for, I think, Exposure Ninja social media contests. And we've written some blog posts with some case studies there showing you how, one thing we did where we sent out, I think, £50 worth of products and got over 12,000 entries to this contest on this blog, just ridiculous. So well worth having a look at that. I'll send you some follow-up information in an email, actually. I'll drop some info in there. Cool. So that's how we do this stuff. So what happens now? We're in a really interesting place now because you've seen a bunch of stuff which you probably agree would help the business to grow if it was in place. So kind of in a place a bit like this climber where you're kind of stuck, right? You know that you could go up and do this stuff, or you can ignore it and go down. Now the struggling majority, the people at business networking events who are just always talking about, oh yeah, business has been tough, or oh yeah, and the economy is really affecting it. Just think, oh god. The main reason I don't go to business networking events is because it's mostly full of losers. But the struggling majority, they'd watch something like this and go, okay, wow, that looks like a lot of work. I probably couldn't do that, or this looks expensive, or it looks like it's going to take me ages, or I don't have the skills. So they basically decide not to do anything. They decide to climb down the mountain. Now, climbing down the mountain actually isn't as low risk a strategy as they might think, right? Because what they're doing by ignoring this stuff is they're risking their competitor saying, oh, do you know what? Actually, that looks quite cool. I'm going to give that a go, and giving it a shot. And every time that happens, they get further down, the competitor gets further up. So over time, they really lose their visibility online. They really don't get the growth that they need. Now, for a new business or a startup, that's particularly dangerous because when you're new, this early days traction is so important. The sales that you get in the early days really define the success or failure of the business. If you're selling enough, you can afford to continue marketing, which can help your business grow. If you're not selling enough, you don't get to that critical mass. That can be really tough. You can reach the end of a runway, have burnt through any startup cash that you had, and then you're at a stage where you've got to make a tough decision of whether to continue or whether to go back working somewhere that you hate for the rest of your life. So this stuff is actually really important. The business owners and the people that seem to have this kind of inbuilt success driver is the best way I can think to put it. They'll see something like this and they'll look to the top of the mountain and they'll just commit to that. They'll say, you know what, I've got this far. I've seen a bunch of stuff here. I pretty much know what I've got to do to get to the rest of it. I know there are going to be some things along the way where I might have to experiment and find my feet a little bit, but do you know what? I'm going to go for it. And they commit to getting to the top of the mountain. They don't even allow themselves the opportunity of going back down. So they move, they commit to it in their heads, then they just move one hand at a time. And that's what I would encourage you from seeing what we've seen today. Commit to just doing this stuff. Yes, some of it is going to be a bit of work, but it's going to be worth it. And this time next year, when you look back, you're going to have been glad that you've decided to do this stuff. So I think this is why businesses succeed or fail. So, if you've been watching today because you're curious and you're just kind of interested to see some stuff, then that's totally cool. And you don't have to do anything here. And if you're not going to do anything, then we're done. The show is over. If you're going to do some stuff, then I want to give you a kind of map that you can follow now to kind of get going on this. So if you're one of us who kind of naturally looks up rather than backing down, the final part of this workshop is how I kind of show you how to get started with all of this. So what happens now? Well, you've got two options for getting this stuff in place. The first is pay an expert. The second is to do it yourself. Now, each of these options is right for different people. There's no kind of right answer here, and I'm not saying that you should do one or the other. I'm just kind of outlining the two different options. So obviously, there are a few different ways of measuring these two options, whether you pay an expert to do this stuff for you or you do it yourself. So the first is results. Now, when you pay an expert to do it, now I'm talking about an actual expert like Exposure Ninja rather than someone who's just a freelancer on Fiverr.com who's just going to rip it all to pieces and make a complete hash of it. That's not an expert. That's just something else completely. If you pay an expert to do this, the results that you can get are excellent. If you do it yourself, the results can be excellent, but they could also be poor. So it really depends on the quality of the information that you're using to do this stuff and how much time you put in. So really variable, okay? Can be very good, can also not be too good. The time investment that you spend, obviously when you pay someone to do this, you're not investing much of your time, you're investing your money instead. So very low cost to your time, which means that you can obviously continue with running the business. Whereas when you're taking the DIY approach, obviously you have to invest a lot of time. You're not investing much money, but you're investing a lot of time, particularly if you're experimenting and finding out what's going to be working. It can be quite a time sink for someone to, particularly if they're running a business and trying to grow it, to do all the marketing themselves. I'm not saying it's a bad option. It's actually the best option for quite a lot of people. And that is because of the cost element. So when you pay an expert, obviously you're paying, a high cost. People pay us multiple thousands of pounds per month to do this. And for a lot of businesses, that's just completely not an option at all. It totally prices out the expert route. So they basically, because they have a small amount of money to invest, they are going to be they're going to be taking a DIY approach or a variation of this DIY approach. So some of these things are good. Obviously, best results come from paying an expert. The best time investment frees up more of your time paying an expert. But the DIY approach does have a significant low cost benefit because you can get started on this stuff free. Nothing I've shown you today costs any money. You can do all of this stuff. But the trouble is that neither of these two options is necessarily a complete home run for people. If you've got the cash to invest, then obviously paying Exposure Ninja is probably the best thing that you can do to grow your business. We certainly spend our entire lives making sure that that is the case. But for people who just don't have the budget, and for a large percentage of listeners here, you just won't have the budget to spend thousands per month. What we decided to do was build a third way here. So we took the best parts of the expert route and the cost from the DIY route, and we combined them, and we call it guided DIY. So what's guided DIY about? Well, the work is done primarily by you, but how this works is experts show you exactly what to do on the screen in front of you. So for example, let's say we're talking about digital PR. We'll show you, here's how to contact the publications, here's what to say when you're contacting them, here's how to get the articles published, and here's what to do with those articles once they're published. So it's someone who does this stuff all day, every day, showing you on the screen, this is what you need to do. You just then copy the steps that they show you and get the same results for your business. So that's the guided DIY approach. So basically someone who really knows their stuff, who does this stuff all day, every day, normally the expert who will be doing it for you, but just showing you exactly what to do so that you can copy along. Now, everything is total plain English, just like this workshop. Hopefully you found this easy to understand. Hopefully everything's kind of made sense, and no prior experience is required at all. So this guided DIY approach, results are very good. Now, obviously, they're not going to be as good necessarily as paying an expert to do this stuff for you, but they're going to be very good because you're using the same information and you're just copying it and doing it for yourself. The time investment is a medium cost, right? So it's not a low cost. You're going to have to put some work in here, but it's not as high a cost as if you're experimenting and figuring this stuff out yourself. If you only have an hour a week or an hour a month or 2 hours a week or 3 hours a day or whatever, you just need to know the highest value things that you can do in that time to get the best result. So that's what this guided DIY approach is all about, showing you how to get the best return on your time investment. And the cost is low because we can put this in a training platform, which you can then sign up to, and you can get access to this video training at a very low cost because we're not having to pay someone to do it for you. So for many businesses, this guided DIY approach is the perfect balance of results and costs. So how have we kind of put this all together in something which you can actually use? Well, I'd like to introduce you to something called Marketing U. So Marketing U is where businesses come to get this this guided DIY marketing help. It's packed full of easy to follow video guides to help you grow your business online. Most of them have been made by me. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, probably depends on your opinion of this workshop, but just showing you exactly how to do this stuff and how to implement it for you. Now, it's all mobile friendly. You can watch it on any device. So, you can watch it on the bus, you can watch it on the train, you can watch it on the toilet, wherever you want. Don't worry, it doesn't record any camera or anything like that. So it's just it's designed to be as easy as possible to consume. Because I know that when you're a busy business, you're running a business, I've got 60 people. The last thing I want to do is spend loads of time doing something. So if I could figure out ways of putting it on, like whether it's in the background while I'm in my car, so I'm just driving and I'm listening to it, or whether I'm, eating food and I'll stick it on my phone and watch it, then, it's all about kind of making something which actually fits with your life. You can work as quickly or as slowly as you like. So everything is self-paced. If you want to smash through everything and get it all started in a month, and that's absolutely cool. If you want to take longer to do it, that's absolutely fine. It all depends how much time you have available. And you copy along for your own business. As I said before, there's absolutely no experience required. Now, one important thing I want to mention about Marketing You. Today we've looked at SEO. Remember the marketing circle. There are loads and loads of different marketing channels. Now, one of my favorites is SEO, and SEO is obviously awesome. And it's okay for you to just use Marketing You and just check out the SEO parts and do all of that stuff for your business. That's absolutely fine. And it can get you serious growth results for that. And then when you're ready, you can start to add in some of these other channels. You can start to look in more detail at video or pay-per-click or social media. You can get more familiar with branding and positioning. You can get your website sorted and get your analytics in place and understand, build an actual strategy here. So there's plenty of other things that you can do once you've got a particular thing, for example, SEO in place. So the one of the choices that a lot of people have to make is between paying us, Exposure Ninja, to do this stuff or to go for Marketing You. So here's how to decide what to do. Remember that both of them you're getting world-class expertise. Okay, same people doing the training or doing the work. Exposure Ninja services typically start at around £800 a month, going up to about 12,000 and more for kind of customized packages. For Marketing You, same world-class expertise. Okay, the cost is only £89 per month, but actually don't do that yet because I've actually got a voucher code for you which is going to take some more off that. So what you can do is you can head over to marketingyou.ninja and use the voucher code workshop to save an additional an additional 33%. Actually, it is £30 per month. Genius. So yeah, that means the cost goes down to £59 per month if you join today. So it's a thank you for joining me on this workshop and putting up with me talking for so long. So here's a voucher code that you can use. So you can go over to marketingyou.ninja. That's not marketingyou.ninja.com. That's just marketingyou.ninja. There'll be a little box somewhere in the corner of the live chat thing and use the voucher code workshop to save 33%. So everyone else is going to that site paying £89 a month. You can get in for £59 per month if you do it today. But that's not all. As an extra thank you for checking out this session today, I recently ran a one-day live workshop showing attendees how to rank their website. So it was called How to Get to the Top of Google Live. And I sat in front of all these people and ran a presentation which showed them how to do this. And what we did throughout the day was they'd submit their websites. Just before we broke up, they'd say, hey, has anyone got a site that we want to look at, or any markets that you want to explore that you're thinking of going into? And people would shout out their things and we'd have a look. We'd bring it up on the screen and together we'd go through and have a look at what these markets look like. I deconstruct their websites live on the screen. And a lot of the feedback from people was actually that was really, really useful. So I'll show you behind the scenes of some campaigns, show you some more stuff that we've done for people and how we did it. As I say, the live market deconstruction, so having a look at specific markets, particular websites of the attendees and breaking them apart in front of them. So we didn't hold back, but nothing was brutal. Nobody cried this time. Average user rating, satisfaction was 10 out of 10, which I was pretty happy with. The feedback was actually collected by somebody else. I was actually running the course for someone else, so they collected the feedback. So this wasn't like, what would you rate my seminar at? This was somebody else, completely impartial and taking the sheets away. But then I went and found them all and took photos of them. So the tickets and recordings for this thing cost $397. But if you join Marketing You, you'll get them free thrown in as part of the deal. So go to marketingu.ninja and use that voucher code, and you get the recordings for how to get to the top of Google completely free. So instead of having to pay $3.97, you get them free of charge. You can start watching them today or tomorrow or the weekend, wherever you like. So here are some of the actual live feedback sheets. So you can see my phone shadow there because I'm like going over them and taking a picture of each one. This person scored 10 out of 10 on course content and delivery and said, an excellent course that was delivered by a true expert in his field. I would recommend attending this course or utilizing his extensive knowledge to get your website monetized to where you want it to be. You won't regret it. What he didn't mention was that actually you should sign up to Marketing You. This person, nice pink pen there, all killer, no filler, concise, full of information, delivered in a digestible way. Although that's a pink pen, that was actually written by the president of Harley Davidson. I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't think it was. It may have been. I didn't check with her. This one said, Tim clearly knows his stuff. He doesn't even try to push the knowledge. He knows it works. Yeah, 10 out of 10. This one said, excellent, engaging session. Learned loads of stuff I will be using. And 10 out of 10. And course delivery, 10 out of 10, best so far. So best so far is because this the person I was doing the seminar for runs seminar every couple of weeks, and he's done this for years with various different presenters, and this person has been to a fair few and decided that how to get to the top of Google Live was the best that he'd been to so far. So go to marketingu.ninja and you get it as part of your thing today, but you have to use that voucher code, otherwise you won't get it. Oh, I've gone back, don't worry. Interesting, thorough content delivered by someone who knows a great deal of knowledge and passion for the subject. What more could you want? Learned a lot that will stand me in good stead for future SEO endeavors. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And in the comment box, they just wrote, this is a small box. This is true. This is very true. Okay, so sign up today for the free live recordings of how to get to the top of Google. And then and you can do this by heading over to marketingu.ninja and using voucher code WORKSHOP to join for just £59 per month instead of the £89 that people pay typically. So this concludes the presentation, and I'm really, really tight on time. I can probably answer a couple of questions if we have them. Do we have them? Cool. So I'm really sorry, I don't have time to scroll through all the rest, but I can look at like the most recent questions that people have asked, if that works. Yeah, should we do that? Cool. All right, we'll do that. Okay, so this one. All right. How does PPC impact SEO? Okay, so how does PPC impact SEO? So by PPC, you probably mean Google AdWords, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So how does PPC impact SEO? Well, some people think that when they run ads, their website ranks better. That's not the case. There are a couple of reasons that PPC can impact SEO. The first thing, the thing that we use it mostly for, is because when you're running pay-per-click ads, you're targeting keywords just like you're targeting with SEO. And if you're using conversion tracking in AdWords, so you're telling AdWords when you get a sale or when you get a lead, then that's keyword data, which is super, super useful, right? Because what that's telling us is if we get traffic that's searching for this particular phrase and we know that it's converting at 5% or whatever, we know that this is a phrase that we really should be targeting with SEO. So that's the first way that pay-per-click is useful, is by giving us that sort of keyword data. The other thing it's really useful for is by letting us know the conversion rate of our pages. So how is our website actually doing at turning traffic into buyers? Now, if we can get this data with pay-per-click, that's really useful because we can get it quickly, because pay-per-click, as soon as the ads are live, you're getting traffic in. SEO takes much longer to build. We've seen here some campaigns where you get some really good ranking in 4 months. Normally it takes, 3 to 6 months, sometimes even a year. We saw some examples with the more competitive markets where it takes a year for that thing to really build. So pay-per-click gives us much more data quickly about how the site is performing, so we can make those changes there, which is, means that when that organic traffic comes through, the site is already optimized. You're already turning those visitors into buyers. So when you get lots of SEO traffic, when you get that flood, then the site's doing better for you. So we always recommend run PPC and SEO at the same time, definitely, because pay-per-click is good for the short-term traffic and the keywords. SEO is good for the longer-term traffic, and both PPC and SEO are covered in detail in Marketing You. Cool. Next question. Okay, do you recommend WordPress or Shopify for e-commerce sites? The thing about WordPress is you've got so much more flexibility. Shopify is quite a closed platform, so you can certainly do a lot of stuff with Shopify, but with WordPress you have much more flexibility. So we tend to always build in WordPress with WooCommerce as the e-commerce plugin. So we go for that. Now, obviously, Shopify is great because it means you can sign up really quickly and get something that looks pretty professional without any kind of coding knowledge or technical ability at all. Whereas WordPress WooCommerce does take a little bit more work, but it's for us it's the preferred option. Right, guys, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to call this quits. We're out of time. So thank you so much for joining. If you've got any other questions, then what you can do is you can email me, tim@exposureninja.com. And I will try to answer them as quickly as I can. I get a lot of emails, so please be patient, but I'll do my best to help you out. Head over to marketingyou.ninja and use that voucher code. I should also say, when you're a member of Marketing You, as well as getting all the video training, you also get access to us if you've got any questions or you need any help on anything. So head over, and I hope you find that useful. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining, and take care. I hope this stuff really impacts your business, and I wish you all the best.